Thanks, Jesse.
Hey.
Well.
We'll just be okay with that.
You mentioned my daughter.
Right,
Congratulations.
welcome everybody to the January 3rd, 2024 organizational and agenda meeting. And I'll start the meeting with the pledge to the flag.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So, let's see, is there anyone in Zoom that wishes to speak to the board at privilege of the floor? Seeing no hands, I will proceed to the organizational resolution.
What about people here who want to speak?
Oh, well, okay, so just to clarify the process, so if you wish to speak, that privilege of floor, you need to sign up on the sign-in sheet before privilege starts. Speakers in Zoom, this is a policy we established to. So if, I will say, if anybody here, since that was not understood, if anybody here wishes to address the board, that would be great.
Great, I would like to thank you, and I'll know better for next time. So. Happy New Year, everyone.
And to you too.
It was a tough year for this town. It's been a tough few years for this town. But especially I think the election year was hard on morale and on neighbor to neighbor relations. And I just wanted to congratulate the candidates who won and who are seated here tonight. And you know, I think back to when I was on the board and it was a fracking fight that tore us apart back then. And it's not an easy thing to sit through and to vote on. But I feel that, you know, and I know it was hard for a lot of people who didn't have, you know, New York State doesn't allow for there to be a ballot referendum on zoning or not. And so I feel like in so many ways, this election was that. And I feel really appreciative of the campaign that you guys ran and the literature that you put out that made very clear your positions on zoning, along with the many other initiatives that are active and going forward in the town. And so I feel like, you know, it was as close to a referendum as New York State allows, and I just really appreciate the honesty that you used, and there were a lot of mailings that you guys sent between the primary election and the general election. I mean, I don't know how many it was, but there's a lot of mailings, and I don't think that you pulled punches on any of them about the fact that you all supported zoning. And so I feel like, you know, I just want to say that I feel like the election did represent the will of the majority of the town. It's, you know, majority rule is a hard thing for the people who end up not in the majority, and I appreciate that. But I also feel like I just want to say thank you for running a clean campaign, for putting it out there, what you stood for, and to let you know that I'm excited about many of the other initiatives that were also part of your campaign literature: broadband, safe streets, finally getting the outside of this building restored. I mean, there's so many different projects that I think are important to this town, important to people throughout the town. And I look forward to moving past zoning and, you know, signs about grandma and everything else, where we can all start building together as a community on projects like broadband and safe streets that really matter to so many homes throughout the community. So anyhow, congratulations, happy new year, and good luck.
Thank you, Amy. Anyone else wish to speak to the board? Here or in Zoom land? Okay, I will now proceed to the organizational resolutions, which
You just swearing in go yesterday morning or this morning?
was this afternoon.
This afternoon.
That one.
This morning, yeah, well,
Good.
Yep. We all said the right thing.
This is the first time for Michelle on the, on all these resolutions.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
well, yeah, that's a good point. So,
It's the most exciting meeting of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I read them all before
Wake up, wake up, wake up.
yeah, they are, you know, a lot of them are sort of ministerial, just process things, putting things in place. So, I think what I'll do is, I'll go through and pick out, some parts that I think are important and ask some questions. You feel like that will be, you know, first of all, do you have any questions after having read through?
No.
You're okay with this? So, the first resolution, I think, is an important resolution, and that's the town board meeting rules of procedure. And, I'm not gonna, it's kind of elaborate describing the two meetings we do each month. But the first part is the meeting decorum and responsibilities. So I will read that part because I think it's important. We are all equals at the table and are elected to serve the town. We must at all times strive to make our meetings cordial and honorable. Recognizing our fallibility as humans, we acknowledge that adherence to meeting rules of procedure will facilitate a constructive meeting atmosphere and process. We therefore commit to the principles and practices of Robert's Rules of Order. Our communications with each other and the public must acknowledge the dignity and worth of other persons and points of view. And third, each board member shall have an opportunity to speak once before speaking a second time. The presider, typically the supervisor, shall guide this if needed. Adherence to this process will promote equal participation by members, a thoughtful pace that promotes well-considered dialogue and curtails emotional reactions and mitigates against interruptions. So I do recognize that we all know each other fairly well, and a lot of times our conversations do become more casual, but so without being draconian, I will try to keep an eye on that, or we all will try to keep an eye on that, but that's generally just so that everybody has a place at the table and gets an opportunity to speak.
Have we included in the past, or should we include that also for privilege of the floor, anybody that's here has a privilege? Everybody gets to speak once before.
We have a separate privilege of the floor, number 2, so let's review, let's address your question then.
Okay. It's in there then somewhere.
Yeah, it's the next one, number 2, it's on the next page, middle of the next page.
Okay.
And everybody should know, there's a stack of agendas on the podium there with all these juicy resolutions right there for you. So, so yeah, that's really, for resolution 1, that's the one part that I wanted to point out. I guess, let's see. In, under the same resolution, under general, it does say opportunity for the public to address the town board during privilege of the floor is at the discretion of the board and may be provided at any meeting. And expectations are provided by organizational resolution number 2. So, any questions about that? So that's pretty brief, but it's really important. So And as far as meetings, I mean, generally, we try to make the agenda meeting, the meeting where we, prepare for the business meeting. We may have public hearings at the agenda meeting. And time-sensitive issues, may be addressed if we need to have a resolution that's time-sensitive. And it's a great time to, if we're so prepared to actually introduce resolutions to be considered at the business meeting, so. And I will push myself to do that, that's, I think that would be really helpful for our process, because then it gives us more time to chew on it before we put it forward, at the business meeting, so. But yeah. That's it, and yeah, so. Yeah, okay. If there are no further questions, I'll proceed further. So now, let's see, the second one is privilege of the floor. So that's our privilege of the floor policy that's published on every agenda. What was your question, or?
Just that was in there.
Oh, just that was in there?
Yeah,
Okay,
I couldn't remember.
okay, yep. Resolution 3 are our town appointments for the different positions. I will note that Jesse pointed out that Chris Wilbur, as the informational aide, is due for the 5-year bump up. So her wage rate will be $19.72 an hour. And there's that wage rate is indicated in this resolution as well as resolution 8, which is the list of salaries and wages. So I've made a notation for both of those places. Number 4 is authorizing.
What about Cliff Brooks? Brooksies,
What about what?
Richard Brooks,
Richard Brooks.
they
So
need to be still in there?
is he in there?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think we need to follow up with him. So,
Just a question.
no, I think that's a really good point. So, I guess I would leave it as it is for now.
Yeah,
And
that's
it's gonna be up to him, and if we need to change it, it's gonna be the same wage rate. But
Okay.
that's a good point, though, because I am due to follow up with him. Cause he's moved to
Newfield and Field, so.
one of the horrible towns on
Oh, really?
Greenfield, yeah,
Yeah,
so. And I know, he has another job, so I just need to check on his
yeah,
availability.
okay.
Let's see,
Or if if he had some time, he'd be occasional.
Exactly.
maintenance.
yeah.
So
if he
maybe
has
it's
time,
best to leave
I'm
it
not
there.
sure. So town bookkeeper resolution, deputy supervisor. Resolution authorizing me to appoint the deputy supervisor. Deputy highway superintendent authorizing Bob to appoint a deputy. Deputy town clerk authorizing Jesse to appoint a deputy. And then number 8 is the salaries and wages. Salaries, we established the 3.2% increase. And wages. And so those are all the numbers. And the highway positions are by the union contract. So. Town board meeting dates, number 10. I did want to ask about that. At this meeting, we started on a Wednesday theme. Would any other weeknight work as well? Or not?
I would request it not on Tuesday or Friday.
Okay, I also would not want it to be Friday.
Works for me, I've kind of scheduled.
Yeah, I've
Things
scheduled
around
things
the
around
Wednesday.
on Wednesdays, so,
So you were both saying Wednesdays work
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
And for me too.
Yeah, it's fun to schedule things around this space.
Okay, let's keep it.
As is.
Great. So that's the way I penned it. So we will leave it that way. Great. Resolution 11 is our video conferencing policy. Um, Number 12 is our official newspaper, Ithaca Journal.
Does anybody read it?
I get a subscription, I have a subscription.
You're not online.
No, I have a,
Oh, you
I get
do?
the paper
Okay.
copy every day.
You do?
That's great.
Wow.
I do.
I got too ticked off at it, they canceled it.
Well,
Yeah.
I know,
Go, Michelle.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people
Okay,
watch the legal notices in
Yeah.
the Ithaca Journal.
Yeah, I think so,
they do, okay.
Yeah.
Just-
because they know that's where it gets
Right.
published,
Yeah.
right? There's no other place to publish it, so
Right.
that's,
It's required by state
It
law.
is.
to
Yeah.
Publish in a daily
Right.
print publication.
Yeah,
Are we still required to have 18
were you on
votes?
board? Yeah, so that's the official newspaper. Number 13 is about posting of legal notice of public hearings. It just specifies it, that process. Number 14 is town board meeting minutes resolution,
You know, there's something interesting to, at least to my mind, from,
about the town board meeting minutes resolution. Okay,
yeah, but they're not minutes are not required to, or to know more than things that were done. Just to try to make it easier for whoever has to take notes, that they don't have to, well, you know, so-and-so said, and so-and-so said.
That's right.
It's not required.
I know.
No, I just,
Those are action minutes.
Yeah.
They're just the actions of the board.
Yeah.
So I think that's the balancing act that Jesse
Yeah.
struggles with after every meeting, providing a little additional information to give context for
it's
our
nice to have.
decisions, which is really helpful. So I appreciate that. I know she does.
Yeah.
Sweat bullets.
Yeah, I'm trying to make it easy, a little easier for her, know that it's okay to.
Yeah,
and people can also go see the video of it now,
Exactly.
you know, if they
Yeah.
want more detail of
Yeah.
what the conversation was about, or
nowadays.
nowadays, I know,
Yeah.
yeah.
15 is the official bank and depository, Tompkins Community Bank. 16 is the investment policy, which I inherited and I have passed on from year to year.
Yep.
And I will tell you that we don't do any fancy investments.
We don't do pork bellies.
Yeah, that's right.
Feel free to.
Lots of crypto. Number 17 is the procurement policy. So I did make a change here that I think I told you about.
We did.
And I happened to notice during the year as we were putting out one of our RFPs, I can't remember which one, it might have been for the Eckers Road thing, but like in 2010, the state increased the thresholds for a formal bid, and so I increased ours to those levels.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to find it in here. Yeah,
It's the next page over.
Yeah. So for purchases of items, services, supplies, or equipment, the threshold is 20,000, for public works, 35,000, so. Those are significantly, I think that went from 10 to 20,000 and from like 30,000 or 20,000 to 35,000, so the public works, significant increases. Otherwise, it's the same.
Okay.
And I also will point out that under guideline 3, these are exceptions. Except when directed by the town board, no solicitation of written proposals or quotations shall be required under the following circumstances. However, documentation to this effect must be attached. So items to be purchased under an existing state or county contract, acquisition of professional services, emergencies, sole source items, goods purchased from agencies for the blind or severely handicapped, goods purchased from correctional facilities, goods purchased from another governmental agency, goods purchased at an auction, goods purchased for under $500, public works contracts for under $1,000. So And then, yeah, everybody okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So I always have to refer back to this. Comes up, read through it. So, resolution 18, petty cash. 400 for the clerk's office, both clerks, the court clerk and the town clerk. 19 is payment of utility bills and medical insurance premiums. So I don't think we always pay our health consortium bills, you know, with the meeting schedule, and it hasn't caused a problem, so I don't think that's an issue there, but sometimes for utility bills. So resolve, the supervisor is authorized to pay utility bills, credit card, and health insurance premiums without audit by the town board to avoid late charges. And then further resolve, the town clerk shall show the details of said bill, blah, 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 so. So, yeah. Just to allow us to avoid penalties. Detailed invoices accepted in lieu of certified vouchers, that's number 20. And if they give us detailed invoices, then we make our own vouchers. That's typically what we do. Annual audit meeting. So this is where we audit my office, me and the bookkeeper, the clerk's office, and the court. So we need to establish a date for the annual audit, and I would propose either 23 January, which is a Tuesday, or Wednesday, 24 January. So those are both weekdays when the court is normally here, and that's what they wanted to do last year. So I thought I would see what you guys thought, and then put that forward to the court, see what they want to do. Either of those, so
Either date's fine for me.
either the 23rd or 24th,
I think Tuesday would work better for me.
Is this during the day?
it would be during the day.
So
Like
Tuesday's better for me.
Tuesday's better.
I'm open on Tuesday afternoon, but not Tuesday, well, and early morning, but I have a meeting from 10 to 11.
Oh, you have a meeting from 10 to 11 on
Yeah,
Tuesday?
she said the
On Tuesday morning,
22nd.
yeah. I'd rather not do it.
Whatever it is. 23rd,
What's the 23rd?
Tuesday.
Yeah.
Tuesday,
Tuesday,
Okay, that's the day you're saying.
and that's good for you?
That's
Tuesday's
okay,
good,
yeah.
but not 10 to 11 for you.
right. Well, it'd be more like, I've got to get downtown, so it'd be more like 9:30 to 11:30. Right, to get downtown and back.
Good at noon.
Could do, I could be here at noon or, yeah.
Yeah, noon sounds good. Let's shoot for noon and see. I mean, if worst comes to worst, we need at least 3 of us there. And then you could come and go or whatever.
Okay.
So, but it'd be nice. So, noon on the 23rd.
Hey, Mark. Sorry, I just wanted to add, Tuesdays, it's court day, so I don't know that during those hours that's gonna work for them. I just wanted to have you
Yep.
keep that in mind.
I think that's a super good point. I think what are the Tuesday hours? They're like at noon, right?
Yeah, I believe it's 11:30 to 2 or something like that. Yep.
Yeah, I think that's a problem. I think that's a problem. I don't think we should do Tuesday unless. Yeah,
So Wednesday, if we did it on Wednesday, could we do it earlier on Wednesday?
My Wednesday's open.
I can't really do it on Wednesdays, but
we can't do it on Wednesdays. Yeah. Yeah,
I could.
you could.
I might have to travel Wednesday afternoon.
Yeah, me
Yeah,
too.
I kind of want to keep it
Gotta
to
be in the
the
morning.
morning. I was
Okay.
thinking, I think Wednesday's a good day because the clerk is usually here, but they don't have hours for the public on Wednesday, so. That'd be a good day.
I could be here at 8 or 9. Here at 7.
Okay,
But-
I'll see what works.
I mean, if it's before like 11:15, I can do it, yeah.
Oh, really? Before 11:15?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's
Okay.
what I would like to do anyway.
Oh,
So,
okay, I could do it on Wednesday before 11.
okay,
I have to leave,
leave by 11 o'clock, say.
yeah, 11.
Okay,
whatever.
On Tuesdays, the course listed hours are 11:30 to 2.
Okay, okay, I'm gonna shoot for Wednesday, the
Wednesday, the
24th, between 8 and 11 AM. Probably not 8 AM, but we'll
It's a
see.
little bit early for me.
Thank you for the
24th,
heads up on that, Jesse, because I think that would not have been good.
Right.
say 8 AM.
That's.
Well,
early for me.
I'll see, I'm thinking 9 AM might be
Yeah.
good.
mine's up,
8 AM.
but I've got things I have to do before.
Me personally, I would rather not do like 8 AM, but
No, Tim's got to travel. Tim, you got to travel. that
in the afternoon, right?
Wait a minute. Yeah,
It's on the 24th.
24th, I think.
Great, okay. Thank you. I will check on that and let you know. So it's provisionally Wednesday, the 24th, between 8 and 11, but we'll have to firm that up. Resolution 22, court clerk, typist, stenographer. This resolution authorizes those and has the pay rate at a 3.2% increase for the court clerk. And the typist at our current living wage rate. Resolution 23 is the resolution to accept the supervisor's annual report to the comptroller, the AUD, in lieu of an annual financial report. Resolution 24 is appointment of delegates to the Association of Towns meetings, which runs from February 18th to the 21st in New York City. So I am planning to go, but I don't have to be a delegate, and any or all of us can go.
I'll be in Spokane.
You'll be in, okay, okay.
So, and it's great if you can go. I put in a plug for it. It's great.
What days again? The 18th is Sunday?
18th is
18th.
Sunday.
2021, yeah, 18th is Sunday, and it ends on Wednesday morning with the business meeting.
I can go if nobody else wants to go.
I guess I'd rather not go.
I'd like to go, but I need to check on another commitment I made to see if I can shift
Okay.
it, so.
Well, I will, I'll raise my hand to be the first delegate. If that's okay, because I'm gonna go. And then alternate I mean, 3 people can go, 4 people can go, 5 people, can go, but it's just, you know, if you want, yeah.
So do we need to put our names in this now, or we don't have to be delegates, right? We could just,
It doesn't have to be done now, but Jesse, we do have to return a document that lists the delegates in order for us to vote at your business meeting. And if we don't list an
Okay.
alternate, then it just means
but
if I
if
go,
we have 2 delegates and then I want to go, that's okay, right? I just wouldn't be a delegate. Or
Right.
are we all delegates? That's what I'm confused about.
no, only one acting delegate.
Okay. Okay. You and Cal can be that then.
Kel's not going.
Cal,
Yeah.
okay.
Well, I'll be the alternate.
He'll be the alternate.
If it changes, we can change it.
Okay, sounds good. Easy. Resolution 25, I'm not gonna belabor. It's a payroll periods as they are and always have been. So unless people have questions about that. We okay with that? 26 is establishing the standard workday and reporting and pay rates for elected and appointed personnel. This is for the retirement system. So, number 27 is the part-time employee 5-year continuous service benefit that we established. Resolution 28 is the town's listing of seasonal limited use highways, which have not changed from last year. Resolution 29 is the designation of electrical inspectors, 30 return check fee of $25, 31 health insurance. Resolve the town board offers greater Tompkins County Health Insurance Consortium, health insurance, blah. to the offices of supervisor, town clerk, and highway superintendent, provided they work minimum of 30 hours per week on average, as per the Caroline Employee Handbook, and further resolved, other elected and appointed officials can be added to this policy at their own expense. Resolution 32 is the water alarm contract, and Greg has offered to continue as our water alarm person, which works out nicely because he's Slater Real Fire, can respond quickly. Town fire wardens is resolution number 33. It's the appoints the fire chief and company captains of the 3 fire companies. Resolution 34 is allowing the town highway department to participate in county bids. Resolution 35 is the appointment of Guy Crow as our town attorney. Resolution 36, this is the designation of the TCOG representative and alternate, and I already pinned myself in as the primary representative or designated representative, and Tim has offered to continue as the alternate, but is open to other people who might want to do it as well. And the TCOG meetings are now, you can attend either at the legislature in person or by Zoom, and I typically go by Zoom, but sometimes I like to go in. Any thought, would anybody else like to consider being the alternate for TCOGs, or, and it just means we both attend the meetings and listen and participate.
How often are the meetings?
Meetings are once a month. Thursday afternoon, like the 4th Thursday of the month at 3 o'clock.
I could do that.
Would you like to?
Sure. Would you feel sad about that, Tim?
No, I'm fine.
Okay, yeah, I'll do that.
You are in. Health Consortium Director and alternate, so I'm currently appointed as the director and Velvet as the alternate. Anybody else could be appointed as the alternate, and that would be totally fine if anybody wants to get their head in the game on the Health Consortium. But might make sense. I mean, Velvet deals with HR type stuff, so it's good for her to be involved in that. I'm comfortable leaving it as is, if you guys are okay with that.
I'm good with that.
Okay. Okay, so the 38, I don't currently have appointees for the rec partnership. So we need to leave that one alone for now, unfilled. And for 39, which is the Joint Youth Commission, we have Evelyn Carnes that stepped up last year. And I don't have a second person for that. So for both our youth committees, if you know, I have mentioned it to a couple people. And I'll continue to keep my eyes out, but it's not a big commitment. I think they're not, at least for one of them, they're not monthly. They're like 10 meetings a year or something like that. There's approximately monthly meetings.
If you approach Penny Boynton. Penny Boynton.
No, I haven't. She.
She was interested.
Anyway, all I have is Evelyn Carnes now, unless anybody else has a nominee.
No, I would second the thing of approaching Penny Boynton.
Yeah, okay. That's a good idea.
I mean, I think she did it for years.
Yeah.
So I don't know if she wants
Yeah.
to do it anymore.
Yeah.
So.
That's
She
an
might miss
excellent idea. Resolution 40, similarly, I still need to find an appointee for that.
I'll do it.
For the Stormwater Coalition?
Yeah.
You will?
Mhm.
Well, thank you. That's great, Phil. I take that back. I don't need to find someone. Resolution 41, Environmental Management Council. We already did this late last year. Appointed Steve to a new 3-year term, so this is sort of just to make sure it's clear. 42, Planning Board Chairperson, Bill has said he's willing to stay on for the time being as the chair. We do have vacancies. So it would be nice to find interested people to fill those. So there are a few vacancies. As you remember, we increased the potential number to 7 for the planning board.
Did Bill give any indication of these rooms due for another year or just until? Because I remember something a little bit ago,
yeah.
wanted to step down.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. So I'm not sure how long he wants to stay on. It might not be a year.
Okay.
I think he's gonna, see how it goes with his other life. Yeah.
When the zoning commission was formed, several of us had been on the planning board and we were moved over to the zoning commission.
Mhm.
So are those, I'm assuming I'm no longer on the planning board.
That's correct, because you're on the town board. as
Yeah,
well.
but
If you had gone back to civilian life, then you would be on the plan.
Okay.
You could be on the
Still
plan.
be on the planning.
so I don't know if like the other people like say Barb Newton.
They're still on the planning. board.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, great.
So I think it's Bill, Barb, Will. And I think that Jonathan, or Bill is gonna reach out to Jonathan to see. He stepped down, but he might be willing to step up.
What, is Val still on the planning board?
And possibly Val.
Val is still on the
Yeah,
planning board.
so that's 4.
E.B. Weinstein, did she step down from the planning board or?
She wasn't on it. She was on the
Yeah,
the
she
task
was on the zoning commission,
zoning commission.
Oh, okay, but she
but
didn't.
she wasn't on the planning board.
For a brief time.
That's right. She could be, she wasn't.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Okay,
if she was interested. The review board. So Bruce has stepped, so anyway, this is for appointing the chair. Craig is willing to continue as chair of the review board. And, that's a 4-member board now because Ellen Harrison stepped down. Bruce's term just ended, so he's volunteered to continue for another term, so thank you. And so there is 1 vacancy, and we did put an announcement out, and I think we have 3 applicants, but we'll probably re-put out that announcement and then interview people in
How long is the term for? 4 years?
5,
5.
because they're 5 members.
Okay, so it just rotates.
I mean, it's sort of like,
Yeah.
it's a term, but like, you quit, so you can make the term what you want, so. Compute 44, was there a question
I just was wondering who's.
on the review board?
Yeah,
So it's Bruce, Craig, Sue Pierce Kelling, and Don Barber. Yep. Resolution 44, now called Synergy IT Solutions, formerly the Computing Center. Resolution 45 is our policy for town announcements. Oh, question?
Just before we leave this page, can I ask a quick question? I was just wondering about what does the Talbot County Recreation Partnership represent? What does that include? What is that?
where is it?
Port number 38. Talbot County Recreation Partnership represents.
So that it's a county organization that provides recreational opportunities for youth.
Like the youth bureau downtown and ice skating at Cass Park, swimming,
Yep.
things like that. So we belong to that, then we get the people live in Caroline are members or can buy membership and go there.
So now that we've gone back to the youth committees and resolutions, did you ever have a chance to meet with with Evelyn? Because you were gonna do that, right?
But I will. Oh, yeah.
Oh, well, and that-
Meet with
yeah,
Evelyn,
just
because-
wanted-
Yeah, I saw the emails and stuff.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Yep.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
The policies for town announcements is, that, you know, basically that they should be town-sponsored events or items, whatever. Resolution 46, we're getting down to the end here. Use of town property, can't use town property for commerce. Resolution 47 is the FOIL records. Very simple resolution about maintaining FOIL, a record of FOIL requests. Resolution 48, these resolutions are all subject to amendment. Did you like that one? And then, resolution 49. So resolution 49, I will put forward, recognizing that some of these positions, are listed as unfilled at this point, but I will offer resolution to approve this battery of resolutions by consent agenda.
Can we go back to 22,
22?
which is the court? Did the court
Oh.
ever provide us with any information about a bailiff and or hourly salary? for
Right.
Bailiff?
Yeah, so we didn't pay that. They did not.
They did not. Okay, that's what I wanted to know.
So we're just not
Right,
putting it in.
okay.
No, this resolution stands. So this is,
I just wanted to make sure none of that.
that's a different thing. It's
Right.
not even in here,
Okay, okay.
so, okay.
So should I second that? The
Somebody should.
Resolution 49, I second.
Okay. Any other questions or comments?
No.
Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Great, thank you. So, so returning to the meeting agenda, I will hereby introduce, a town of Caroline zoning law. It's now posted on the homepage of the town website, along with the zoning district map. And there is a hard copy here. I will note that since our last meeting, we made a couple little tweaks, after we did have a discussion about commercial horse boarding operations last time. And we decided, after recognizing that they are, agricultural operations and that most of the town is in or near agricultural districts, that we would list them as permitted in all districts. And that's where we started out in the discussion, and
Commercial horse boarding.
is that what I called it?
I think it's a horse boarding, but maybe it's.
CHBOs.
Yeah.
Commercial horse boarding operations, so that was a tweak. Tim found a typo in the use table that I corrected today. It was a W instead of an X, so. And, for, dwelling units, I, modified the last draft in editing, the last line had been chopped off, so that definition is now complete, with the way it should have been. I think that's all. That's the last meeting, so.
Now bring up the pet cemetery thing.
We added, remember that terminology for the pet cemeteries.
And
Right.
But I talked to the director of the Division of Cemeteries, Department of State today, Brandon Sten. Pet cemetery is a for-profit private entity. It is not a non-profit, and it is considered commerce. So do we want to say that pet cemetery, if somebody didn't have one, it would have to be within focused commercial, but pet cemetery is by New York State is considered a commercial for-profit entity.
But you can still
Bury
bury,
in cemetery is not,
but
you
you,
cannot
But I
bury a
think some-
person in a pet cemetery.
okay,
If somebody came and said they wanted to take an acre of land and make it into a pet cemetery,
Hmm.
that is completely different from,
okay. But can you bury a person and then bury their dog's ashes?
yes, you can, that is fully permitted, and that was a change in legislation about 8 to 10 years ago.
2016, I did research.
It was that, yeah, because I saw your.
But that's not a pet cemetery.
No, that's permitting pets to be buried with their owners.
Mhm.
Right,
With their owners, not,
okay, I got another,
All
sorry.
right,
Say I got a plot and my dog dies and I put his ashes there because I'm gonna get buried there.
Yeah.
Can I do that?
yeah.
Yeah,
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 Yeah.
because you're gonna be buried along.
Right.
Right, and that's not a pet
not a pet
cemetery,
cemetery.
it's just, in other words, I think a lot of these definitions. You get confused with the fact that it's a cemetery or just burying them, it's kind of like, I was thinking again about conversation we had about churches being allowed. There's nothing against having a church service anywhere, but it's different from a church, and so likewise,
Yes,
you can bury a pet. But that's different from an official pet cemetery.
I see.
yes.
Okay.
So,
Because the research I did said a pet cemetery has to be 5 pets per year, 5 pets per year, every year. And that would make it a pet cemetery.
but whether it's a pet or human cemetery, isn't it regulated by the health department?
It is.
I thought that's what,
That was what it looked like, according to the research I did,
it's regulated by who?
the health department. Because they have regulations as far as like how far away from bodies of water they.
not burying them in the stream bed or
Right,
something like that.
Yeah,
But then we've also got those sort of rules of setback, so, I mean, my suggestion is just to have in definitions, pet cemetery. I don't know, or maybe just leave it alone.
So
Leave it alone.
if we leave it alone, whether the cemetery is for profit or not, does that really matter to us?
It matters in the use table.
Yeah,
That is, what,
It would matter in the use table.
because it's officially a commercial for-profit business. So, the other side should say pet cemetery permitted anywhere.
I
Or-
would say that, I mean,
Or
well,
what,
because the
whatever,
regulations say you have to have at least 5 acres. For,
no, burials.
Right,
no, there was
burials.
something about acreage also in the definition I read.
for a pet cemetery?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, but I was surprised when he said it's a for-profit,
Yeah.
commercial entity, and part of it was regulated through, not through them, but through the comptroller's office. I don't know, sometimes you start scratching these things, and you just kind of, oh, boy,
right, so I'd say leave it alone, and because I don't think there's a big demand for pet cemetery.
no, there's not.
And it can be altered down the road.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Okay, well, whatever, I just,
I would say just lump them in with people cemeteries. Because
So the
some,
wording as we have it is okay?
okay with me.
yeah,
I don't know, I just,
Some human cemeteries are also
For-profit.
incorporated and for
Yes.
profit,
Huh.
so they're also allowed
Mhm.
everywhere, so I just think this is a lot of,
Yeah.
semantics.
yeah.
Okay, I feel good about that.
Okay.
and it can be changed down the road if there's a
Right.
big demand for pet cemeteries in
Right.
Carolina.
We don't have to worry about
Or maybe
noise
not.
disturbances.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
Well, I guess if Calvin went to Cliff and said, hey, I'm gonna deed off an acre and have a dedicated pet cemetery.
I think you'd have to make sure that it's not required that you have 5 acres, but
Or maybe you have 5 acres.
Well,
maybe you want to cut off 5 acres for pet cemetery, you can do that.
No way.
It designates acres.
Because he didn't think that there's gonna be a huge demand for pet cemeteries in town of Carolina.
I wouldn't think so. I
Because he
think that
knows,
Everybody
he
takes
knows.
care of it themselves.
I've called him, talked with him several times between Brooklyn Cemetery and Carolina Center Cemetery, so we got to know each other.
Right, so,
It's not like we live in New York City and we gotta go find a place to bury
Right.
the ashes of the body.
Okay, so we'll leave that alone?
Yep.
Yep.
Great. So,
All plants should be clean.
and most of them are, I think.
Yeah.
so we formally introduced it and have a draft, that can be provided, to the public as is. And so with that, I will offer resolution 50, which is setting a public hearing on a local law to adopt the town of Caroline zoning law and initiating required referrals. So whereas the town board of the town of Caroline created a zoning commission by resolution 64 on February 10th, 2021, and subsequently accepted the final report of the zoning commission to the town board in April of 2023, and whereas the town board of the town of Caroline by resolution 101 on August 18th, 2023, determined that adoption of a zoning law is a type 1 action and initiated the required environmental review pursuant to 6 NYC RR Part 617, and whereas the town board of the town of Caroline referred the proposed local law to the New York State Department of Ag and Markets, conducted a review of the zoning commission's proposed zoning regulations, and reviewed and updated the draft zoning law through December 2023, and whereas the zoning regulations in this local law are proposed to implement the 2021 Town of Caroline Comprehensive Plan that established the vision and goals established by the community. And whereas the zoning law is proposed in the form of a local law pursuant to the authority and power granted to the town board and the town by Articles 2 and 3 of the New York State Municipal Home Rule Law and by Article 2 of the New York State Statute of Local Governments. And whereas the proposed new local law to adopt zoning regulations for the town of Caroline, entitled A Local Law Adopting the Town of Caroline Zoning Law, has now been introduced as local law, whatever the number is when it is adopted, of 2024. Therefore, be it resolved, the town board hereby sets a public hearing to be held on February 14th, 2024 at 7 p.m. at the town of Caroline, at the Caroline Town Hall and by Zoom, and directs the town clerk to duly notice this hearing as required by New York State town law. The notice is below. And further be it resolved that the final draft zoning law shall immediately be submitted to the Tompkins County Department of Planning and Sustainability for review as required by General Municipal Law, Section 239M and N. And further be it resolved, the final draft zoning law shall immediately be sent to all interested agencies as identified in Resolution 101 of 2023 of August 18th. Seek a review of the proposed Caroline zoning law, and further be it resolved, Resolution 131 of December 20th, 2023, entitled Resolution to Set Public Hearing on Proposed Zoning Law is hereby rescinded. So,
I'm happy to second this.
seconded by Tim, and I do want to emphasize to people here and listening that at the last meeting, we did set a public hearing for January 31st, and that is no longer true. We rescinded that, and by way of introduction today and restarting the process, we've set the public hearing for February 14th. Are there any other questions or comments?
During the public hearing, will you just take comments or will you try to answer simple, straightforward questions?
We'll take comments.
Just take comments.
Just take comments. That's the format of a public hearing.
Yeah. We're gonna stick to that.
Yep.
Yep.
What if somebody asks a question, what are we gonna say to them?
Well, we're not taking questions tonight. You can contact them later or whatever, or if they have questions now, they can ask them.
I mean, if this is available, could they submit any questions in writing?
Sure.
Just, I think just we should know what you're gonna say to somebody. I have a question. And you
Yeah.
submit your question and you will get a response or won't, or we hear you, and then it's just up for us to discuss.
It is,
Yeah, we don't want to back and forth.
That's what I'm trying to get. You don't want to get into this.
No.
I mean, I think we've fairly provided now since April. Extensive ample time for questions, so when we've taken all input and tweaked the law significantly based upon that input.
Mhm.
So this is a public hearing to get responses to this law.
I used to remember,
Specifically to this law
Right,
and
right.
not.
I used to know we had citizens at the other public hearings that, you know, on the, for this final, you know, that people would come with questions and kind of looking for an answer. I think you had just said, no, we don't answer questions, and I just wanted to.
Well, I guess I would say we're not answering questions at the public hearing. But to my mind, if
Yeah.
people have questions, they would be welcome to write them out and send them
Send them,
to the board.
yeah,
I'm not,
but just gonna make sure we aren't gonna get into any
Yep.
back and forth.
right,
Not answering any simple, straightforward
No,
questions.
we can't do that.
Maureen?
I think it's not fair to take up too much time from the hearing.
Yeah, can I just suggest that when you send out the town announcement about the public hearing, that you also include a statement in there to that effect, that, you know, we won't be answering questions of the board, however,
Clarify the
questions
process.
can be submitted by such and such date and would be answered by such and such date, so that people know what to expect.
Or,
Not even-
or refer to, I mean, the zoning commission page has the answers to 150 questions.
Yeah,
So we're certainly not gonna duplicate that.
Right.
right, sure.
And I guess I would say, but anybody, please correct me on this. Since the following meeting, we're gonna be discussing comments we received, potentially comments that we received at the hearing. At that point, if there are any questions that have struck us that need discussion,
Mhm.
we can do it, but that doesn't necessarily mean we're gonna respond to those questions. Like if the person submitting the question isn't guaranteed a personal response from a member of the board. But certainly we can take those questions in consideration when we're having our final considerations and deliberations and comments we receive from the zone, from the hearing.
I think that's a good point. Bruce?
I would think that any questions that you're gonna get is gonna be due to something that was changed, and somebody reads the new, you know, that you put out the last, this is it,
Maybe.
that's, to me, would be where you're gonna get a different question that you haven't already got. And chances are that should be answered somewhere down the line.
Well, they can always,
Look for it's fine.
they can always ask beforehand too.
Yeah.
Right.
Right, I mean, that's kind of what I'm
You
saying.
gotta read
So
that, so.
maybe we got 5 weeks or 6
Right.
weeks.
Right,
Right,
Right.
so.
This doesn't be put out there.
And I think the only thing that should really come up would be something new, that somebody saw that you changed and said, well, I have a question about that. That's the only thing I can see.
So, yeah, I think those questions are appropriate to be written out and submitted, because I think trying to answer a question in the middle of a hearing is not,
Yeah, it's to hear public comment.
Yeah.
And
So.
Well, a question can be a comment.
Right.
So somebody can ask a question in public for us to consider.
So once
Our
you have the
deliberations.
hearing, once the hearing is had, then you go over it again and then it's finalized? Is that what happened or?
Yeah,
yeah,
Unless significant change is made, and then it has to be another public hearing.
Right.
And, you know, significant,
Right.
but that's pretty much the way it went with the zoning commission, right? First, we had the hearings and then discussed it, and then
I mean,
Will you be providing a red line version so people
Yeah, I
can
was just
see
thinking
the
about that.
changes that were made from,
I'll put the red line document.
From April.
and, you know, maybe even a summary page of, you know, what the changes are and why they were made.
Yeah,
Right, and I think there are some people who've just been waiting. They didn't read it last April, they're waiting for the final draft to read it,
Right.
so they don't. I mean, some people are really on it and all the details, other people are like, oh, look at it,
Right,
you know, but it's done.
right, that's the problem, and sometimes there's a lot of people come to the table real late, and
yeah,
it's like, that's good.
we have a public, peace officer present at the public hearing.
I don't think it's necessary, but
Okay,
if you
I'm just
do.
asking, no, I'm just asking.
Might not have one phone.
Huh?
Might not be any room for
We could ask for a skinny cop.
them. There you go.
I don't know, I just remember got a little testy there, a couple of zoning commission. Well, we were in the middle of COVID and I just remember.
I think I have confidence that things have settled down a little bit. now.
I do too, but I was just trying to ask.
Maybe in Carolyn with the real. I don't think it would hurt. It's free, right?
We can consider this, next,
Yeah,
at the
no,
business meeting, talk about it.
yeah, kind of mull it over.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Subject of having a policeman here, for the public hearing. I do think that just presence of a policeman can put the brakes on emotions if there are any, just saying.
Okay,
Doesn't hurt.
we'll consider that.
And I'd like to think it's not needed, but
It's all the stories. I'd rather have it not needed, not have it.
yeah. So
So you waited for a vote?
Yeah,
You seconded it, so.
yeah, it's seconded, I don't, the resolution's fine as is, right?
Yeah.
So shall we take a vote on it?
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna vote on that last resolution, Jesse, so all in favor?
I,
Opposed, great, resolution 50 is adopted, thank you. So approval of the minutes of December 6th and December 20th. Thank you, Jesse. I thought they looked
Let's say anything.
really good. If anybody has any feedback, sure Jesse could take it now or later.
Thank you, Jesse.
Yep. Shall I approve them?
yes.
Okay. So the minutes of December 6th and December 20th are hereby approved. Thank you. Let's see, so we did receive a proposal for website design. We'll probably follow up on that at the next meeting, right, Tim?
Yeah,
Do you think? Okay,
we're just waiting for a little bit more detail.
great. Thank you. And so, what notes do I have? I think, so now agenda items for our January 17th meeting in 2 weeks. I would like to bring the battery energy system storage law forward for a vote for adoption. So that's one thing.
Not for next week, but we're gonna have to come up with a time for all of us to meet to go over the highway barn
Oh, I'm glad you mentioned that. Yeah,
proposal.
I think,
Broadband,
well, but
Hunt's,
but let's stick with the highway for a minute, because that's when we met with them this week, they said early January,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Or to mid-January, so
we
I
need to
think,
have another meeting?
well, I think we have a responsibility to get back to them.
Yeah.
Right.
And so
I
I
mean,
think,
do we need to have a meeting or?
I think we can just trade thoughts and put forward suggestions for them to consider in giving us, what we're concerned about is that the price of those proposals was out of our league. And I think we feel like, there's some, as was discussed in the meeting, I thought there were some good suggestions by the Lavella folks about how we could economize quite considerably. So I think we should just challenge them to be as aggressive as they can be about sort of coming up with
We need to bring in Bobby on this.
a novel approach. With that,
We need to bring in Bobby.
because we need to, come up with something, and, get his input, yeah.
I mean, as I see it, there are about three approaches that they could take.
Three what?
Approaches that they could take. One would be to provide us with a reduced footprint,
Mhm.
if they could do so and make it significantly cost effective, right?
Mhm.
Whether that, and that could even include alternate approaches to the various outbuildings,
Mhm.
as well as a primary facility. Or it could include reducing the square footage by keeping the current structure and something else. Or it could include the suggestion that they made at the end of the meeting, which I thought was an interesting possibility if it's structurally sound, so building on to the current
So did I.
highway barn in a certain way.
Mhm.
So I think we could provide them with three options and
Or-
ask them,
Those are not mutually exclusive.
No.
So those are all things they,
I mean, I had expected that what we would have gotten would have been another alternative is a much smaller scale and smaller price than we got for us to do comparisons with, based upon the scale of the buildings that they presented to us in their proposal, you know, all of which the prices were significantly lower.
so I like those items that you mentioned. Maybe the other one that I think you mentioned before was possibly modifying the need for excavation.
Well, I guess a question that I have still is whether we can do this and somehow maintain even a modified road up the hill like we have. Maybe
So
with-
instead of building the other.
maybe with fill lowering the grade a little bit without that entire elaborate. I don't know if it's possible or not. I mean, that was suggested in the first
Mhm.
engineering report that we got in our first site plan. That's what they suggested doing.
Stretch it out a little bit.
Yeah.
What
And
about,
I don't know if that's conceivable or not, but
Well,
and what about challenging them to find a little more grant funding? They indicated that it wasn't very optimistic, and I sent you a question about this thing about median household income in Caroline, which makes it look like Caroline is wealthier than I perceive it to be. I tried to verify those numbers and I had no luck. I went to US Census Bureau numbers and they listed, they didn't list numbers for Caroline because they do not offer data for townships with less than 5,000 residents. So-
Right, they have these census blocks and some of that includes Ellis Hollow. That's what I got confused on a grant once, because it's like I have this census
did?
block, but it's not Caroline.
mhm.
Right, so, but like, you know, some of the numbers that I found from the Census Bureau numbers, for median income for Tompkins County were much different from numbers from other, you know, because there's these different data.
right.
Yeah,
And, but, you know, I just kind of, what was I don't know, just driving around town, and just from what I know of the town, it's hard for me to believe that the median household income for the town of Caroline is like 30% higher than the county
Yeah.
mean. And the county mean in that email was listed at 60,000 something. The US Census data from the 2020 census, it was listed for Tompkins County at like 96,000. So I just got a lot of conflicting numbers.
Yeah.
And so if our household income was lower within the,
But
whoever
it-
looks at this stuff would.
So anyway,
So-
I mean, that's something that they can work out.
Yeah, and
I know when Susan Holland applied for the grant for this building.
Yeah,
We did not qualify for the 75-25
correct.
because of that very issue. We didn't,
But did anybody, verify?
well, she got her data wherever she
So-
needed to get it. I'm
So
sure.
this can be worked out, but one problem I run into with a couple grants is that the students skew it because they don't have an income. So like really low income is college town.
Yeah.
Crazy, but if they're lower income than we are.
Yeah.
Okay, but you know, it's a definite problem because it's like, if you have a small rural township with not a lot of people, even if we had that income, it's not a lot of families to tax. We still don't have this huge tax base, right? And
Yeah.
so I don't understand the rationality behind giving money on that basis. If we have a small tax base, we're not looking at the tax base, looking at the median income and not the, doesn't include the population. So I was thinking about that, but I don't know, it may just not be flexible enough, that money available may not be flexible.
But I just, again, like you said, something with the septic system rehabilitation, those are the numbers that they
That's
use.
the one.
Yeah, but I don't know, I'm sorry, I
When
want
she
you.
gave us that, there was a map and you'd go on the first to each town and it would give you the median.
I'm sorry, I just see the data and I don't believe it. You know,
Well,
I mean, how much,
You've got
I don't know
median
how
and
much
mean
clout in it, but.
too.
Amy has a comment.
Yeah, Joan Jerkowitz at County Planning.
Who's that?
Joan Jerkowitz at County Planning.
Joan,
Joe.
Joe,
Yeah.
At County Planning is very well versed in all of the census
Okay.
numbers and how to
Yeah,
massage the
she'd be
numbers.
great.
And I think, you know, if you want, check in with her.
yeah, we need to lean on the county planning
I just-
because.
but
we
part of the
don't-
thing I'd like to see more, I didn't, maybe they aren't turning enough. I don't know, not only reducing the cost of the building, but are there grant and other non,
Well, I
We
mean,
do both.
I would like to, for now, keep a focus on the building.
I agree.
Because grants is a separate,
Yeah.
it's really a separate
Okay,
category
Yeah.
that we can't even think about
right,
grants
LaBelle's not gonna, LaBelle's not gonna.
until
do that.
we have
Well, they should.
buildings settled, and then we can.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure that they will help us in whatever way they can with grants, and also, by that time, there could be other stuff available. But I wouldn't want us to get too distracted with that right now
okay,
until we settle on what we're doing, if you know what I mean.
Like, I don't think we should be designing it with the idea of how many grants we're gonna get. I think
Right.
we should just plan it according to
Exactly.
what we can afford, and then if we get some grants, that's great.
Or
I don't think-
We hit a jackpot.
I just want to make a smart building
Right.
using,
Yeah.
the resources the best we can. So,
but to me, the whole thing is part of, how much money is there in that pot? I mean, if we can give LaBella a number, this town with grants, bonds, cash on hand can afford X.
Yeah, I just wouldn't assume, I wouldn't include the grants.
But,
personally, but-
so the other thing that I think would be helpful, Mark, is to have that meeting with the bonds person.
Bonds.
I was gonna say, didn't they say we had to meet with a bonds person first before we could continue?
No,
No.
but they want
They want us
we should
to-
do that.
yeah.
that was my New Year's chore, so I will do that.
So Mark, just for clarification, I'm sorry, is this, the discussion on this, is that on the agenda for the business meeting then?
Yes, we'll put it on the agenda for the business meeting.
Yes, that's a great point, Jesse. We've just, advanced the discussion a little bit.
I like to stir the pot.
Yeah, so, yeah. Very good.
Are you assuming that Bob will come to that meeting? Or do we need a separate meeting?
Well, yeah, we can touch base with them before then. I think we should definitely.
Yeah.
That's what yeah. So, but I think we have some good initial thoughts here.
Do we know if Bob has had the opportunity to listen or to view the recording of the meeting that we had?
I don't know, I can ask him.
I mean, we should encourage him to do that.
Jesse, do you know, has that meeting been posted? I mean, the recording of that meeting?
Yes, it's posted.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think it'd be really good for him to listen to this meeting since there's so much context there. So,
Yeah.
you know, it covered a lot of ground. So put that on the agenda for next week. Follow up with this discussion
For 2 weeks. Well,
for 2 weeks.
uh,
I mean, it's important because Labella wants to move forward.
Yeah, exactly,
We don't want to hold them up too much.
right.
Because they also said that they would give us a new quote if necessary. You know, if it entailed a lot more new design work, so
Yeah. I'm expecting.
we all need to know that,
For
yeah,
sure. I mean, they were throwing out some of these ideas, so
Yeah.
I want to follow up. They're the engineers
yeah,
and architects, and they can give us
yeah.
their ideas, so. They are, you know, yeah. Kate mentioned the broadband feasibility study.
Yep.
Yeah, we should discuss that
Yes,
Yeah.
next time.
next time,
I think the other thing we need to discuss is what, we got a lot of significant price tag capital projects we're looking at in this town. I mean, again, we're in this town of Ford. Restoration of the historic town hall, we got broadband, we got public works, highway garage. You know, we're talking, we've got a lot of things there for,
Yeah.
for this town.
Yeah,
We're gonna
so,
stage them and then, you know, the emergency medical thing, okay, that's gonna be free the first year, but you know, what's gonna. I mean, I'm sorry, and I don't mean this derogatorily, but it sounds like I'm afraid of a little bit of bait and switch. Oh, we'll start this out for free and then,
no, I totally disagree with that.
okay, that's
I really, it's bait and switch, I don't understand that
you're talking about the county,
emergency
you're
project.
talking about the
Yeah.
county.
Yeah, I mean, how much are we gonna be asked to, because I remember
So, here-
the presentation, it
here-
was, you know, we don't know how much the town is gonna be asked to contribute, you know, after like year 2, year 3.
So
But
here's
you
the
know,
way I look at it. That program is gonna be paid for. It's gonna be paid for by the state, or it's gonna be paid for by the county, or it's gonna be paid for. It's gonna be paid for in some way, whether it goes through your town taxes, county taxes, or state taxes. It's gonna be paid for. And the shared services proposal that was put out, those numbers were purely to show what the cost savings would be for each town to do it on their own versus countywide. So, and I think people took that. I know some people took that as like, oh, this is what we're gonna have to pay. So at any rate, I'm not concerned about these costs, believe it or not. I think these are all things that are really important to us. And so for the town hall restoration project, we have the grant. We have the funds saved to do it. We're gonna do it. For the broadband feasibility study and the build out, we pointed our ARPA funds towards that, and we got, with Kate's leadership, got a county grant to add on to that.
And we're looking at other grants and
Yeah.
there's a whole section on funding and
Yeah.
about how when the money balance out.
So, and like you say, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, if it's gonna cost $5 million to do that, we're gonna have to bond for it. And so that'll be, it'll be paid over time so that it doesn't kill people in 1 year, their pocketbooks, I mean. So,
and I think you're a lot more versed on this. I know you're a lot more versed on this than I am, but I just.
maybe naive, but I don't know.
No, I don't think you are. But I just, concern.
No,
You know,
I agree with you, Cal. I mean, we have to just be cautious.
cautious, that's
We
about
have
it.
to be cautious about how we stage everything and. You know, it's funny that we're just suddenly at a point where 3 major projects that we've been dreaming about for quite some time.
Yeah.
Are starting to dovetail.
Yeah.
And to be really clear about how to stage those.
Yeah.
So we don't get killed, you know, I don't disagree with you. And so, makes me nervous too. So once we just need to keep getting the numbers in and then we make decisions, you know, based upon.
That's right. I mean, we're not gonna
I mean, the good thing for
that, you know,
the,
put people underwater.
for the, for the broadband, we have close to $500,000 set aside for this project, minus what we did for the engineering study.
Yeah.
So even if we did, and let's say hypothetically, we decided to ditch the public idea. That those funds set aside should help us then connect people who aren't connected. In a different fashion. So as I see the broadband, we're really well set up for that. And everyone has told us that because of the careful way that we proceeded with the engineering study, that we're gonna be in a really good position for the state funding that's gonna become
Right.
available. So we just need to keep that in mind.
That's the point, yeah.
And then we make the decisions based upon that stuff.
Yeah.
The pressure is gonna be that we have to make the total commitment for the ARPA money. I think it's by March, right? So by
Right.
March 2024,
It's coming up.
so that's pressure. In terms of making a decision one way or the other.
I will look that up. I think it's by the end of this year.
Okay, but we need to clarify that.
Yeah.
Because that's crucial, because we don't want to lose that money.
So we can talk about.
And then we have to
Right.
expend it by the end of 2026.
Right, that's the least of the problems, is making the commitment that we have to do by then.
So I just think, I mean, I'm just tickled, really, for all.
You're the chief financial officer.
Well, I don't think this board is gonna do anything wacky.
Yeah,
I mean, we tend to be, I mean, for years, we've been putting money aside for the highway barn and the town hall.
Yeah.
We're really, I like to tease Mark, we're fairly stingy in our decisions that we make.
Yeah.
And, I mean, but I don't disagree with you that we need to keep our eyes wide open.
I just see a lot of,
Yep,
I just kind of just saying, I'm not saying stop, I'm just saying, let's make sure we.
well, the hardest thing that we're gonna have to sell is the highway barn, frankly.
Mhm.
We're not gonna have trouble selling broadband.
Depends on the price.
A lot of people don't even know what the highway barn is.
Right, I mean,
They
that's
have no
gonna be a
idea.
major sell to get the public to approve that bond, that kind of money.
But
So,
that's- yeah.
so we know that, you know,
And that goes up for a vote, right? If we do a
Yes,
bond out,
yes.
right? So that's,
and you know, we have to also remember that any bond is also a public decision, so it's not our decision, it's a public decision, so. So I'm confident that we're doing things judiciously and carefully. But I agree with you, we just
Yeah,
don't
just a
always
lot
need
of
to
things are
keep
coming
this in
together
mind.
at once.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, that's awesome.
But like Michelle, you were just saying, no, let's not count on the grant money for the highway barn, and yet now, one discussion later, I'm hearing, well, let's
No, but
count on this grant money.
I mean, Cal, I think that we need to distinguish between
We have been.
getting some kind of grant money for the highway barn and knowing full well that we're gonna have to bond that.
Have you ever had a state grant guaranteed to you, and all of a sudden they pull
Well, that's different than trying to,
it? No, it's not.
I think it's different than saying, we might get this money, so let's design this to, you know, as though we can afford it, because we might get this money.
Yeah, that's dangerous.
I think
That's
that's different.
dangerous.
Yeah,
That's dangerous.
so.
I had an experience where the state said, you're gonna pay for something, the job got done, and then the check wasn't there.
But here's the way I look at
So,
that.
I'm just taking my personal experience and just saying, hey, you know, say, don't. Just sharing a personal experience, and it's kind of devastating.
Well, we just, got the Eckers Road grant funds approved. They'll be here by January 18th. So that's $250,000. And we have a letter in hand from the state for the $375,000 for this project. I think that's assured. We have a very capable historic preservationist who's going to be guiding us through that process. So that's super exciting. And as far as like, the way I look at it is like for the highway barns, I want the most economical structure that we can get that'll serve the town. And then whatever money we save from that, we'll spend it on something, there are other things that we have. So I can't imagine saying, oh, we'll elevate the cost because we have grant funds. Can't imagine it.
No, can't even.
Yeah, okay.
And it's also maybe my personal example is really not, because I would think the state whose grant money would treat another municipality better than a private individual.
I'm sorry that happened.
Yeah. And it just, well, that's left me a little wiser.
I mean, it's not an unusual thing. I mean, I chair a statewide organization and
Yeah.
we are hesitant to partner with the state, even though they should be funding us because in the past they have stiffed us.
Yeah.
But these funding streams that we're talking about are a little bit different because it's cold cash. It's in the bank. It's already set aside. So it's not based upon the promise that the budget for 2 years from now is going to be passed. So I think
And it's for municipal infrastructure, which is something that's,
yeah.
I think, a high priority.
I'm just saying, I don't think we should suggest renovations based on the fact that we might get more grant money, and I don't think we should spend at this point a lot of time pressuring them to figure out ways to give us more grant money. I think we should just try to do the most economical, practical building possible. And then, yeah, we get some grant money for that. That's great. That's
And then try for grants, right?
Right.
To lower the bond.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think just spending a lot of time on pressuring them about grants, I just think at this point in time is not fruitful.
But it will help us when we have the information about bond hits to make our final decisions.
Yeah.
I mean, we're gonna need to have that to make the final decisions. Because we'll have a clear idea about what kind of pressure on the public that's gonna be, and also what we can present to the public.
Right.
We'll take the tax base.
Good, all good thoughts and conundrums, yeah. So we'll discuss the highway barn next time, we'll discuss the broadband, so we
Okay.
should read the feasibility study carefully. Kate and I will be meeting with Ryan.
This Thursday? Or next Thursday?
I think it's tomorrow, because he canceled last week, so I think 11 o'clock tomorrow.
To go over the proposal.
I'm not sure, we have regular meetings with him, so we'll see.
So if you are meeting with him, well, something that I would like to know in more detail that wasn't really fleshed out in the proposal is the Dryden picture. The Dryden partnership picture.
Yeah, because
What
what
can happen?
Ryan said last time was not the same as what I heard from him,
Right, right.
so,
So I think we need some clarity on that.
yeah. Yep, okay.
And even, I mean, early on, my understanding was that this section of the town was going to be served by Dryden imminently.
It's gonna be what?
Served by Dryden imminently. In the meantime, I heard something contradictory to that, so I think we really need to.
First time for everything.
Huh?
First time for everything.
Well, if you could ask him, try to get some clarity on that.
Great. Homework.
So wait, where is the feasibility study? Where can I read it? Is that posted or
An
Is
email,
what?
the feasibility study? That you just said we should
I
read?
think I.
it was
did I
in an
forward-
email, because I read
I
it
forwarded
today,
it
it's
to
in an
everybody.
email.
Okay, So
Just-
let me know.
just before Christmas.
Find it.
just before, I'll look at my email now.
And it had an attachment, so it's easy to spot.
So those are, the battery storage allowed, that highway barn, we got broadband, those are three big items.
Three big items, yep.
That'll be a big meeting, so.
Yep.
Anything else? Irene?
Just a question in regards to the battery storage stuff. Have you been aware of the, issues with fires and the governor's
Yes.
investigation?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Thank you. Yep. Okay,
Okay.
by golly,
It's
it's
not even 9 o'clock.
8:33, if there's nothing else.
I'll second it.
I probably forgot something, so I will offer a motion to adjourn.
Sorry,
Second by Cal in advance, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Great, thank you, Jesse.
Okay, double thanks.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
And good luck.